The Wellness Wednesday Show.
With Paul and Emma.
Hello. It's the Wednesday Wellness Show. I'm your host, Paul. I'm the owner of Nutrient Nirvana, and my co-host,
Gaps Coach Emma from Timeless Cookery. Lovely to see you.
Lovely stuff. Okay, so this week we're talking about the carnivore diet. Now, this has risen to massive popularity in recent years, hasn't it? And I've seen so many posts about it on social media, people bigging it up, etc. So we're going to take a deep dive into this today, Emma. Yeah.
Cool.
Excellent. Okay, so there are many people operating in allopathic medicine or even the natural health world that say, you know, we need, if we're eating a carnivore diet, we're going to have a lack of dietary fibre, we're going to have a lack of antioxidants, and our LDL cholesterol levels are going to spike. So are these valid concerns, do you think?
So for the cholesterol part of the question, I say, sorry, but Dr. Natasha has an excellent book called Atherosclerosis, Put Your Heart in Your Mouth, which is all about the heart diet hypothesis. And cholesterol is what your body uses as a plaster to patch up the ouchy bits. So if your arteries are full of cholesterol, we've got to ask ourselves, why does the body need to put plasters on the inside of the arteries? And those questions are answered in her book. And so I'm not bothered. I will never have my cholesterol tested at the doctors. I am not interested. They change the goalposts with their numbers. They try and put you on statins, which turn you into grumpy old men and women. And so the cholesterol question, I'm not interested in it. We need fats. We need animal fats. We've been told not to eat fats, and fats is exactly what we need. Our brain's made of fats. Our nervous system made of fat. Every single cell is a phospholipid fat membrane. Your hormones are made of fats. We need fats. What was the other part of the question?
Oh, blimey. One that I'm very interested in at the moment. Sorry, I'm wobbling again, aren't I? I've got to sit back from my desk. Let's try this.
No, that's too far. Come back.
So, dietary fibre.
Yes, right. Another, because that can make it hard, can't it? But anyway, fibre. Well, some people can handle fibre, some people can't. On GAPS, we avoid all the fibre because it feeds your microbiome. But if you've got a broken microbiome with loads of pathogenic gut bugs in there, half of the good ones killed off by the routine antibiotics they use in the food system, or the fact that you've taken antibiotics or pharmaceuticals, which damage your microbiome. If your microbiome's damaged and you've got pathogenic gut bugs ruling the roost, they're the ones that tell you to go and eat the donut, you know. Feeding them fibre is a bad move. We need to starve them out. So if you do eat fibrous things and it bloats you, or if you eat fibrous things that makes you farty or windy, or you get reflux and things, then it's a sign to lay off the fibre. Not for always, but at some point you're going to bring it back in again once you've got rid of the bad gut bugs and recolonized and cultured and cultivated a more biodiverse, healthy microbiome.
Okay, brilliant. So I've heard that humans make a particular type of fibre in the gut. And some people say that because of this, we don't need dietary fibre.
I've never heard of that, and I don't think we make fibre, unless you count the dead bodies of the microbes.
Okay. Okay.
Never
I'll have to look into that. That was just a thought. I'm sure I've read that before somewhere. Okay. So there's no long-term studies on the carnivore diet, is there? By the way, is the carnivore diet the same as the Atkins diet? Do you remember the Atkins diet from about 20 years ago, maybe 30 years ago? My sister was on it and did really well on it. Are they the same?
Similar.
Okay.
No, there are different degrees of carnivore. There's the lion diet where you just eat red meat and salt. There's raw carnivore where you just have, you know, raw steak, raw eggs, raw dairy. And then there's no plant GAPS, which is no plants, but lots of fermented dairy and fermented plant juices. So brines, we use brines. So it's not exactly, I call it carnivore-ish. So there are different degrees. But I think what people are finding when they've been on carnivore for a long time is that we do run on sugar, and your body transforms the protein by glucogenesis into sugars, and sugars is what we need to run our bodies. So
it's interesting you say that, because there's a doctor that I follow called Paul Saladino, I think his name is. He's really big on YouTube. He was one of the pioneers of the carnivore diet about 6-7 years ago, I think. And last year he stopped eating carnivore because he said he was having low insulin, and there were 2 or 3 occasions during the day where he would literally have to fight not falling asleep.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting because, as I said a moment ago, there are no long-term studies on this diet, are there? So we don't really.
I don't care about long-term studies. Let's look at people, tribes, the Inuit of the far north, the people who live in the cold lands up in the snows. They don't get any greens. They don't have vegetables. They don't have, maybe might have a few dried berries, maybe, but they mostly have blubber and meat,
fish,
seals, and that's the fishing communities. But in the colder climes inland, they'd be having reindeer and moose, and I don't know what animals. So, and then there's the Maasai of the African plains. Nomadic tribe who basically nick a little hole in the neck of their live cattle and take a little bit of blood out and then slap a mud poultice on it and close up the gap and drink the blood, literally, of their cattle. And they milk those cattle, and they mostly live on, like kefir, a kind of kefir, curdled milk kind of thing, and blood. And then when people say, why don't you eat these lovely fruits? They laugh and they say they're for the cows. And rightly so, because the cows have stomachs full of, they have rumen and different stomachs full of bacteria. We're not supposed to have bacteria in our stomach at all. And it's the bacteria that feed on the fibre and the cellulose and the plant materials. We are designed to enjoy meats, but I think we eat too much of it. And I think we could actually enjoy just more soups and stews and broths and stocks,
Sorry if you can hear my cat trying to catch a fly in the background. I just wonder about, you made a very good point there about tribes, but I guess that these tribes that have been going for thousands of years and they've eaten the same way for thousands of years, their bodies will have evolved that way, won't they? Whereas, people elsewhere might have different needs possibly, or different, metabolisms, etc. I don't know.
For sure. We should all be eating seasonally and locally. That's the rules, really. But nobody does, because the supermarkets are jam-packed full of stuff from everywhere, and we're spoiled for choice.
Absolutely. One of the attractions I think that people have with the carnivore diet is that many people experience losing weight on the carnivore diet, especially initially. But rapid weight loss in any other circumstances is not particularly considered a good thing, is it, health-wise? So what do you think about that?
I don't know. I suppose it depends what your starting point is. If you're morbidly obese, you've got lots of reserves to go on. So you could eat not very much at all and actually do quite well. Just drinking mineral water, drinking water that's got the macros and the micros, in it. What was that question? I didn't really get
it. About rapid weight loss.
So
people are being kind of attracted to the carnivore diet, if you like, because they see other people losing, quite a dramatic amount of weight in the first maybe 3 or 4 months or whatever.
Is that because they're just cutting out the junk, though? What were they already eating?
Possibly. Well, carbs turn to sugar, don't they? So
carbs are sugar.
Yeah, exactly.
Turns to sugar inside you as well through glucogenesis, because your body likes to use sugar as its primary fuel. Except, but if you do keto, when the body switches to ketogenesis or ketogenic way of operating, where it's using fat as a primary fuel source.
Are we supposed to consume foods with glucose though? I mean, our bodies make glucose, but and that to me indicates that we need glucose from the diet. So
I think we are. I think we are supposed to have some fiber and some sugars. Definitely. Okay. Honey is just a gift from heaven. It's a beautiful, manna, literally, from the bees, from the flowers. It's just like medicine, pure. And that is, we definitely need to be eating that. And fruits when they're in season and if tolerated. But here's the thing, if your gut microbiome is broken and you eat fruits, it might make your symptoms worsen, in which case you're not ready to eat fruits. People who are really, really poorly, generally speaking, their gut has failed them, because as Hippocrates, the father of modern medicine, said, all disease begins in the gut. And that means it's either poisoned, or it's deficient, or it's damaged with oxalates, for instance, that just literally take off the tops of your villi. So you're supposed to have villi like this on your lining of your stomach, and then you can get them shaved off by eating too many spinach almond milk smoothies, and that damage takes a while to repair, and you don't want to be eating any fibre or vegetables while you're trying to repair your gut. So if you have something really chronic going on, whatever it is, chronic fatigue, or these syndromes diseases, that they can't work out where it comes from. It comes from your gut, and it's because your gut's damaged, and you need to mend your gut. And the best thing for that is, some meat in the stock pot, and then to drink it like tea, and to get some fats and some meats, and then lay off the fruits and veg. We get amazing results with people with schizophrenia, with nonverbal autism, with like serious, ulcerative colitis, bleeding from the bowels. We just take out all vegetables, and it works very nicely. But it's a tool. I'm not suggesting people should eat like that for the rest of their lives. But people who've been really damaged, they might need to do it for 2 or 3 years. But not just eating meat and salt, but eating fermented dairy and the brines from fermented vegetables. And so that's, some probiotics in there, along with the meat and the eggs.
Brilliant. To anyone that's new to this information, I highly recommend that you check out GAPS, which is an eating protocol, in case you don't know. Emma is a GAPS coach who's had lots of success with her own family and lots of clients. It's hard to know how to put that on YouTube, isn't it, without getting a ban? But you catch my drift, hopefully. So, yeah, do look into Dr. Natasha Campbell McBride, who was the founder of GAPS. Sorry?
You've interviewed her, haven't you?
I have, yes. It was my second ever interview, if I remember rightly. I know. I asked her thinking she'd tell me to get stuffed. And she said, yeah, okay then. And there I was. I just literally read her books, was really like new to GAPS at the time. This was going back about 3 years ago now. And it was like meeting a hero in a way.
And so many people
very powerful speaker.
And I read that book 16 years ago now, 17 years ago. And it's been my Bible, and I have been preaching it ever since. And to begin with, it was lonely because you couldn't find kefir in the supermarket. You couldn't, it was mad to be saying, I'm sorry, my daughter's coming around to play, but she can't have any pizza or cereal or bread or crackers, or because we lay off the grains to get better. What the protocol's about.
Just, I've got a quick question from Orgulug. Hello, Rich. Wondering if you would recommend eating pork?
I think pork always needs to be marinated, at least, or cured in some way.
Why is that?
Good question. And I'm not entirely sure. I think it's to do with the fact that parasites in the meat are compatible with us, whereas parasites in beef or lamb, they don't affect us. So you need to cure it or marinate it just by sticking it in a thing with some vinegar and mustard and a bit of honey and salt and whatever, soy sauce, whatever you like.
It's a bit bland. It's a bit bland pork anyway, isn't it? Without something
good. I mean, I love it. I love a bit of saucisson sèche.
Love a what? A sausage what?
dried, cured sausage.
Yeah, lovely stuff. Brilliant. I've recently given up HP sauce, which Yeah, I've loved it for decades. It's just like, you know, my favourite sauce in the world. But they make it with seed oils, don't they? So I've knocked it on the head.
Oh, boo. I
Yeah.
like tip HP as well.
Yeah. Laura Sorrell has asked a question. Hello, Laura. She says, what are your views on kombucha? Is it okay for you?
Kombucha is it's a fungus. Kombucha. The SCOBY for the kombucha is a big kind of mushroom, and some people react badly to that mushroom. Some people love it, and so you might get on with it, you might not. It's a ferment, and I do like my ferments. And I'd say, how many fats and ferments can you get into a day? Because that's what heals you quickest.
Okay, one more question from the crowd. Hi, Emma and Paul. What are your thoughts on nitrates in bacon?
So I did an interview with this lovely lady who wrote a book all about curing meats, whose name is escaping me right at this moment. But she said if it's a good idea to have nitrates in the meat because botulism is a real thing and it's not funny. But if you're only cooking your bacon for a matter of minutes, it's no problem. It's after 20 minutes of high temperature that the nitrates will transform into nitrosamine, which is not funny, which is what you don't want. Nitrates your body can cope with, but if it's cooked for a really long time, then it transforms into this other stuff called nitrosamine, which apparently is not great for you.
Brilliant. Okay, that's good because I love bacon. Brilliant. Right. Okay. Should we just get back to the carnivore diet?
Went off track.
Sorry?
Went off track a bit there.
Yeah, we did. But it's nice to get these questions. So anyone who's watching, if you've got a question on the carnivore diet or on health in general, just pop them in the chat box and I'll read them out. Just getting back to the carnivore diet, Emma. Are there any particular nutrients that you think people might run out of long term on the carnivore?
Well,
I've got a couple, but you go first.
I would have thought vitamin C, but Dr. Natasha has read the studies and she says, don't worry, it's not going to happen. Not if you cook some meat in the stock pot, apparently.
Apparently, if you're eating lots of carbs, you need lots more vitamin C to process those carbs, I think, or something like that. There's a connection. Yeah, go on.
Carbohydrates take up a heck of a lot of minerals to metabolize as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So vitamin C is a big one, although there seems to be like wide-ranging views on how much vitamin C we need. Some people will say supplement, do 10 grams a day, you'll feel amazing, blah, blah, blah. Whereas the carnivores tend to say you only need a few milligrams every day. So,
well, I've studied the work of Sally K. Norton, who's the oxalate specialist, and there are some people out there whose metabolism will actually create oxalates if they take a high dose of vitamin C. So, I've said to people a while back, about 10 years ago, I was like, take a mega dose of vitamin C. And I said that to someone and they went, I was so ill from doing that. I felt so awful from doing that. So I'd be a bit careful about that. Take a high dose of vitamin C thing.
Okay. I tend to try to eat my way towards healthy vitamin C levels. It's not easy, but I try that. Occasionally I'll do maybe just 1/4 of a teaspoon of ascorbic acid. I'll add it to the fulvic minerals every now and again if I think I need it.
You know, highest vitamin C though. One of the highest vitamin C. Do you know what has the highest vitamin C, like food-wise, is sauerkraut.
I was going to say cabbage. So there you go. Yeah, so I would have been close.
So
yeah.
a teaspoon of sauerkraut should sort you out.
Yeah, it's quite surprising, really, isn't it? Yeah. Okay, so getting back to nutrients. So I think, personally speaking, I know you can get some vitamin C from liver, organ meats. Some people say steak, only in small amounts. But then if you're not consuming carbohydrates, that might not be an issue, I think. My biggest concern about people running out of a certain nutrient would be magnesium. Now, magnesium you get mostly from leafy green vegetables. If you're eating organically, that is obviously because they've intensively farmed all the nutrients out of the soil, unfortunately. But magnesium,
all of them, but it's down by about 50%, and that's
massively. Yeah, massively. In fact, I can't remember if I told you this, but I watched Clarkson's Farm when it was on Amazon, and he had his soil tested. Now, Jeremy Clarkson employs all the usual farming methods, if you like. So, you know, it's anyway, so he had his soil tested, and when he got the results back, it turned out that his soil contained 0 magnesium, zilch, nothing.
Well, how could the calcium operate then? Because they work together, don't they? Or is that just in humans?
I think that might be just in humans. I mean, magnesium wasn't the only one, but that was particularly low. And of course, magnesium is the master mineral. So, and it's a macro mineral. So we all need fairly large amounts. So I think with calcium is pretty easy to get from the diet because it's in so many different food groups. The magnesium in meat, as far as I'm aware, is very, you can get a little bit, but it's very low. So if you're doing carnivore diet, you need to be taking our advanced magnesium blend.
That's what I was just going to say. You need to get it.
Bet you to it.
And it's in a gelatin capsule, and that's such a plus for me because
I think so. I noticed another company, actually. Now you've said that, I've noticed another company that's very famous, a supplements company, that's very famous in this country for suggesting that every other supplements company is bad. They use fillers, rah, 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 rah. And one of the things, and they on their website, on a page, if you're looking at a product, along the side, they'll compare their product to other companies' products.
That's naughty doing that.
It is. I don't like the way they market. I think it's really bad, but they're very successful. Anyway, so where was I going, Paul? Oh yeah. So they list other companies' products, and they say, and they use gelatin capsules.
Like a bad thing.
Yeah, I know.
Gelatin's been demonized.
Yes.
Got demonized along with collagen got demonized when they started squirting into people's mouths and, you know, doing facial stuff with it.
So most supplement companies will make a big thing out of using what's it called? You know, the
methyl cellulose.
Yeah, those ones.
Vegan friendly.
But not human friendly. So they're vegan friendly, but they're not friendly to our guts. No. So, you know, I'm fully aware that I might lose a few customers by using gelatin capsules, but I don't care because my sole focus is on producing the best possible supplement for people. And if they're capsulized, then I'm going to use a gelatin capsule.
That is honourable, Paul, and
Thank you very much.
I salute you, sir.
I salute you back. Cheers. Thanks. All right, join us again next week. Anyway, where was we? So we've done nutrients. I think pretty much that's it.
That first question you asked had 3 parts to it. One was the fibre.
LDL cholesterol, which you really got stuck into well. Dietary fibre, which I think we talked about. The other one was antioxidants.
Right, which is like vitamin C.
Vitamin C, exactly. Yeah.
Antioxidants. So, I mean, a lot of people I know who go carnivore will enjoy a lemon or 2 in their mineral drink and not think of it as breaking the diet. They still feel as though they're carnivore just by having a lemon or 2. And I think that's a good move. Yeah. And also kraut juice and kvass are excellent sources of antioxidants. So, you know, you could still take those and still say you were on a carnivore diet.
Fantastic.
Ish, you know.
Hello, Cockolass. She has given us a question. What about the types of collagen, as in 1, 2, and 3? 1 is for joints, ligaments.
She's showing me up now because I don't know the difference between 1. No idea.
Actually, I'm glad you brought up collagen, Cockolass, because I wish I could remember where I read this, but I've read this probably in more than one place, but a long time ago when collagen supplements were first becoming popular. And I seem to remember that the general idea was back then that they could be detrimental to your gut health.
That collagen could be detrimental.
Collagen in supplement form.
Oh, I see. Yes, the hydrolyzed collagen.
Yes.
Dr. Natasha says don't bother with the hydrolyzed collagen products. Don't bother. Get the stock pot on. Start to eat the fatty collagenous bits from the cheap cuts. You know, a cheap cut means you've got some bone in there, you've got the connective tissues, you've probably got skin, and you've got some meat and the fatty bits, whatever. Stick that in the water and cook it up like a tea and drink it, you'll be getting all the right bits of collagen that you need. Col, as in glue, and gen, as in genesis. It's the glue of life, and it's what sticks us together. It's what makes us elastic. And I'm sure there are different kinds of collagen, but I don't think we need to know about it specifically if we're sticking to a natural way of doing things, because we're not interested in the powders and potions and the refined things from the industrial process.
So yeah, and I would add, a couple of things. If you're getting enough vitamin C in your diet and you're getting enough zinc in your diet, those two things are cofactors in helping your body to produce collagen naturally. So you shouldn't need a collagen supplement if you're consuming
copper, because once your copper levels are right, you suddenly get really flexible.
I'm at the moment, I'm kind of researching the relationships between zinc and copper, because for years I was under the impression, and I still think I basically am, that zinc and copper, they're twin minerals and they work synergistically, is the word I'm looking for. But now there's some conjecture of thought that maybe you shouldn't take zinc and copper together. You should maybe take one in the first part of the day and then the one, many hours afterwards. I don't know if you've got any thoughts on that, Emma.
From what I've understood from my research is that copper is the general that's bossing zinc around.
That's weird, because zinc, you need way more zinc than you do copper. So
it's like that's the foot soldiers. The zinc are the foot soldiers, and iron in every red blood cell. Iron, should be in the red blood cell, but it's floating around. That's when they measure your ferritin. Anyway, and it's in the wrong place because copper's not there to say, "Oi, you, get yourself over there and sort this out and do that and do the other."
The last point I'll make on collagen supplements is, if I see a celebrity pushing a supplement, I run in the opposite direction, generally speaking.
Who's pushing what?
If I see a celebrity pushing a supplement, supplement, I go, leave off.
Pushing what then?
Collagen.
So who's the celebrity, dude?
Am I allowed to say it? I'll say it anyway. Davina McCall.
Oh, yeah, bless her.
She's been pushing collagen for a long time. And there are others as well. And I just think if it's popular amongst celebrities, I'm not interested. I just get
precisely.
Bad vibe.
I agree with you. Absolutely.
Good.
Yeah, I feel for her. She's been through some rough rides, and she's proper there, and in the public eye, and she's probably being told what to say about stuff. I imagine.
I would imagine so too. Exactly.
She doesn't look like a free agent to me.
No, very few of them are. Just a few last points that I want to bring up. Some people have reported very low insulin on the carnivore diet, and this one really surprised me. Apparently, if you consume a carnivore diet for a prolonged period, the levels of T3, which is a very important hormone for your thyroid, gradually starts to decrease, which is bad news, because there is an epidemic of thyroid issues out there in the world at the moment. Iodine is number one for that, of course, and selenium as well. And funnily enough, iodine and selenium are two nutrients that I think people that are eating carnivore might struggle to get enough of.
Do you think not if they eat oysters?
True. Yeah, maybe if they're eating oysters, but how many people are eating oysters?
Well, that's why I'm promoting Oyster Max, and
I've got to try that.
It is good stuff, and you can just sprinkle a bit in your stock, and it makes it taste like a bisque fish soup or something.
Lovely. Okay.
It's like eating 6 oysters a day, and who can actually get hold of 6 oysters a day and shuck them and all that jazz, That was a point you just made, and I wanted to comment on it, and I can't remember what it was now because it's.
Was it to do with the low insulin that some people?
Low insulin. That's it.
Because I've noticed that many people report that their insulin levels kind of are sorted out on eating the carnivore diet, but there are a few people out there that have reported, low insulin. So whoops wobble. So yeah, was that the?
Wow. Insulin is the hormone that makes us lay down fat as well, and so, or it's the regulator of fat and how much we lay down and how much we don't. But you need that all to be flowing nicely. And next week we're going to talk about the sugar diet.
Yes, we
When
are.
there are bodybuilders and all sorts of people out there who are promoting eating a load of sugar and no fat and very, very lean protein. So, I mean,
When you're,
whenever you take out one of these macronutrients in our diet, something happens to your system. And I think we are omnivores and we're supposed to eat a little bit of everything. And we're supposed to be feeling chilled. Do you wake up in the morning feeling rested? Are your eyes bright? Are your cheeks rosy? Are you in a good mood? Because it's your microbiome that makes those building blocks for your neurotransmitters that make you happy. Are you happy or are you dissatisfied?
That's another thing I've just remembered. Apparently, eating carnivore again fairly long term will spike your stress hormones like cortisol as well. That's something that's been reported quite a lot. I mean, there are no long-term studies. I know you don't like long-term studies, but there are no long-term studies on the carnivore diet. So from my point of view, I don't like, just jumping into something because so-and-so on Facebook said, this is great, you know?
I don't recommend the carnivore diet either, but I have seen vegans, 30-year vegans, who suddenly crashed and went, I can't do it anymore. And they've just gone straight onto the lion diet with salt and red meat and actually got better. Slowly. But some of those even then made themselves worse because they stopped eating oxalates and then they had massive oxalate dump and got in then, the worst possible case scenario there would be kidney stones, and it's not funny. So doing anything sort of extreme when it comes to diet is a bad move. We need to do things gently, slowly, apart from fasting, that's pretty extreme, but fasting's actually we should talk about fasting one day.
We should do. It's one of my biggest fears.
Really? Is it?
The idea of going 24 hours without any food is just awful. I just think, how on earth?
Formative when you do that.
I can just imagine myself rolling around on the floor going, oh, just like the idea of it. I completely understand the benefits of doing it. No, you get what's it when your cells kill off bad cells? Autophagy, something like that. So there are many benefits from fasting, and I know people that do 72-hour fasts, but I just want a steak. No.
I think another reason why people need to get off the starchy carbs is that they're a little bit tainted with some chemicals from the industrial farming industry. That's another really good reason to get off those foods. And the same with fruits and vegetables. A lot of them that's why people feel better when they go on carnivore, because they're not getting microdosed with glyphosate and a peel or whatever, and all of this rubbish that they put. Even organic, because you can spray copper sulfite as a fungicide onto organic fruits and veg, and still that's going to give you an imbalance in your minerals if you ingest it.
Yes, absolutely. I would just like to point out that fulvic minerals neutralize glyphosate. There you go. Cheers
to that. Actually,
so if you like I do, if you occasionally like to go out and eat somewhere and you're not too sure what the food was cooked in, when I come home, I always have a glass of fulvic minerals just to play safe. There you go.
And if you want to be really, really safe with the stuff you are buying and you want to clean it properly, then a cheap and easy cleaning thing is bicarb in some water. But an even better one is hypochlorous acid. We should talk about that one day as well.
Yes, lovely. Hi, Hugh. Hugh's my friend. Hugh is trying the carnivore diet out now. So I think in summary, we've got another question before we finish as well. But in summary, I think you could say that the carnivore diet is probably as useful as the raw vegan diet in the short term in eliminating certain issues that you might have. But eating this way in the very long term is probably not a good idea, because we do need some carbs, albeit very low. So I'm basically eating, and I don't know if I've mentioned this already, but I'll mention it again because it makes me happy. When I've been researching this subject, it turns out that my diet is perfect, apart from the jam donuts. Absolutely perfect. So, and largely that's based on intuition. I do read a lot of material, scientific studies and all sorts of things related to health. But my feeling has always been, just eating one food group for the rest of your life, can that be a good thing? I don't think it is. But So I'm eating probably 80% animal foods and 20% carbs. Like, so I'm eating a little bit of fruit, only a little bit of honey, raw milk if I can get it, and salads from my allotment, and that's pretty much it. Sorry.
Ferments? Any ferments?
Usually I do. I mean, I take our symbiotics every day, which is a mix of pre and probiotics. But
Not a ferment, though.
sorry,
It's not a ferment.
yeah, I do love ferments, and I need to get back on that. So I'll probably make some kefir or something.
Inulin's really important for your pancreas.
Yes, and that's the prebiotic in this, my symbiotic. So
excellent.
Yeah, good. Okay, the sugar diet next week. Hard to believe that there's. When you say the sugar diet, do you mean like any sugar, like refined sugars as well?
They are saying, yes, just sprinkle some sugar on your fruit before you eat it. And my mum used to put sugar all over strawberries and raspberries before we ate them when I was growing up.
I remember that as well, yeah. And there are football players out there. I'll mention his name because I don't like him very much. Jamie Vardy, who plays for Leicester or did play for Leicester City. He's quite a famous football player. And he drinks 2 Red Bulls before he goes on the pitch. But I suppose if you're using up all that sugar when you're running about for 90 minutes, then maybe that's not such a bad thing. I don't know. I mean, he's had a very successful football career. He frightens the life out of me, though, when he scores a goal because he runs towards the crowd and he pulls the same face that Albert Steptoe used to pull. Do you remember the Steptoe and Son?
What, when he was like, Harold? No.
Yeah. He pulled that sort of face. Yeah, that's very good, Emma. Yeah. And he looks like that when he scores a goal. Anyway, where am I going with that? Who knows? Last question. Hi, Emma Paul. How about aged raw? Doesn't that have higher histamine?
Aged raw
What do you mean by aged raw?
Aged raw meat, probably.
Oh, okay.
Well, yes, higher histamine, but histamines, if your body's inflamed, then extra histamines coming in might tip you over the edge, and you'll have a histamine reaction where your nose starts running and you get hives and start itching or whatever. But we're supposed to be able to handle some histamines. It's a sign that your gut's leaky and you should be doing gaps if you have a reaction to aged raw meats. But raw actually is excellent. Raw meat, steak tartare is a delicacy in France, and it's chopped up steak with a little bit of pickles, fermented vegetable, and a raw egg yolk and some seasoning, some parsley, a little bit of herbs, a bit of salt, whatever. Absolutely delicious and really, really good. It's full of enzymes, which are the catalysts that help you change one thing into another thing. And I have raw liver that I keep in when I'm traveling, so I don't even have it refrigerated, and I keep it in a Tupperware with some milk kefir. And it's high as a kite, and it's like a drug. It's really good stuff. It makes me feel great.
Yeah. Tempted. I must admit, tempted. Yeah, okay. We'll have to end it on this comment because we're over time now. So Cocolas has finished up with Rice Krispies with a layer of sugar over the top as kids. What were we doing? Yeah, and we both loved cereals as kids, didn't we? I love cereals, Shreddies with lots of sugar and milk.
Frosties.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
And cinnamon grahams. Oh my god! Might have to work out how to do a GAPS version of that. I can make
Never understood shredded wheat, but there we are. Yeah. Okay, we'll end it there, shall we? So join us again next week for the Wednesday Wellness Show, where we'll be discussing the sugar diet. So, yeah. Wow.
I'm just about to launch Instead of Bread, which is going to give you all your favourite comfort foods, but a GAPS version that isn't going to be bad for you.
That's a really good idea. That sounds great. Brilliant. Okay, excellent. Okay, and if you need any magnesium, any vitamin C, any selenium, any iodine, fulvic minerals, adaptogenic herbs, non-toxic household products, and lots more, go over to the Nutrient Nirvana website. We sell the best stuff.
Yeah.
Thank you. In gelatin capsules. Thank you very much. All right. See you all next week. Thanks for your comments. Cheers, everyone.
Okay, bye.